Hi friends, Season 7 is finally here. The wait is over. We have Olympus and it's epic. Apart from a few sound glitches I faced early on, that might just be me though, the map seems pretty awesome. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, I've got loads of Season 7 content coming your way, so keep a lookout for that. Anyway, for my first Season 7 video here today, I wanted to give you a virtual tour of Olympus. As it's a new map, you'll still be getting used to where things are, how things look, where are the best places to go. So I thought I would just talk through all of the interesting points, all of the interesting places on Olympus, so you know kind of where you want to be going, at least at the start of your journey on Olympus. Now, Olympus is huge. There are 16 points of interest labelled on the map, and within them are even more places to explore. The map itself is just really open, but at the same time, it's so confined. The map is, I guess, technically smaller than World's Edge, but it just feels bigger. And it feels bigger because there's much more open area that you can move freely in. There's just much more freedom to move. And I guess the vehicle helps with that. So let's start with the first point of interest. And I'm just going to talk through all of the key points of interest first, and then I'll just cover the last few remaining ones. So let's start with the most important ones. Oasis. So I think of Oasis a bit like Fragment. I think Oasis will be one of the hottest places to land in Olympus. And by hot, I mean everyone's going to be landed here. You can spot it quite easily. It's got these two tall, big towers. And there tends to be quite a lot of high tier loot here, especially in the basement if you go down the bottom of the buildings. But do watch out because there's this sneaky balcony that can lead you open to enemy fire. If an enemy team's up there, they can pick you off quite easily for sure. It can also be quite easy to get trapped here. There aren't so many ways to get out, so if you're stuck down the bottom, you're kind of just stuck there. Also, Oasis does have a few floors, so you can also go up a few floors, which is quite cool. You can get a few different vantage points. If you've got like a Caustic or Watson, there's kind of a middle layer there where you can camp there quite nicely. Okay, so that's Oasis. Like I said, I think it will be quite a busy place to go. Let's talk about Bonsai Plaza, because I feel like this is going to be the next biggest hotspot. It's going to be a popular landing place, not just because it's on the edge of the map, but because there's also good loot there and it's big. There are quite a few buildings. It's not just the two main towers, but you've got a few outbuildings as well. So there's some good places to loot. Also, a fun lore tip is that this is where Revenant killed Loba's parents, and there are actually some really cool voice lines if you've got a Revenant and Loba there. So keep a listen out for those. Oh, and the top part of the building is the best place to pick up loot, but do be careful because the two buildings are linked by these kind of tunnels, and in between you've got this cafe area, and it can be quite easy to get trapped there. I did find this useful thing out that you can jump out the window in the middle, so if you find yourself getting pushed from both directions, it's actually quite a useful tip to know you can jump out this window. The third most popular place I think will be the Rift. So the Rift is that big energy ball you see at the end of the Horizon trailer. And it also happens to be the place where Horizon used to live. There are a few good buildings here to loot, but if I'm being completely honest, it's very spread out and you can easily get attacked if you've got multiple teams landing there. With the way that the loot is so spread out across the buildings, I think it's probably going to be a little bit tricky to fight multiple battles there compared to Oasis and Bonsai Plaza. So I do think the Rift will be quite popular to start with, but it might not be the best place to land. I'll leave that one up to you. Do remember the phase ball in the middle is a good way to get out quickly. If you jump into it, it will take you through the void, through the tunnel system, and closer to the centre of the map. Okay, so Hydrophonics and Elysium next. So these two are quite good hot drop locations again. They tend to have pretty good high tier loot, and while they're not as big and they don't have tall buildings like Oasis or Bonsai Plaza, they've got a fair few good places to loot, and even if another team is landing there, you can pick up some pretty good loot. On top of that, there seems to be a lot more purple and gold items here, especially Elysium seems to have gold weapons there pretty much all the time. Okay, next let's talk about Turbine. So it's in the centre of the map, and this could be another hot place where I think people might not land, but maybe do battle in. It's got a vent through the top where you can actually jump through. So if you're landing from the dropship and want to come here directly, you can actually go straight through the top, land in the centre and pick up some quick loot before other teams landing there. It kind of reminds me of Harvester in this sense. but I do think it's a place where people might group up and start fighting closer to mid-game rather than early on. I think it's going to be a point of rotation because it's so central, and people definitely at the top side of the map will potentially be moving through this place to get into the ring. So it could be quite a good place to pick up some quick kills and some third parties, but you probably don't want to get stuck in this place. Hammond Labs is next. Hammond Labs is again quite a big closed area. It's all centered in one big building. Again, I'm not sure that it will be a hot landing location. I see Hammond Labs more as a place where people will come sort of mid-game and do some battles. Again, I would say you probably don't want to get caught here. Unless you've got someone like a Caustic or a Watson, it's going to be very hard to survive for a long time in Hammond Labs. There's lots of directions you can get pushed from, they've got vents all over the place, so it's not the best place to camp down. I would say use Hammond Labs as a third party opportunity and a place that you can rotate through. Okay, and now let's talk about Estates, because Estates is a really cool place. It has a real homey vibe, kind of like a futuristic settlement where you find people living, and it makes you think what life might have been like for the people that used to live there. Obviously before that experiment went wrong and people abandoned the floating city. In terms of as a place, Estates is quite good for landing. I don't think it will be super busy compared to the previous locations we've talked about. There are some good buildings here though, so if you're thinking of a safer place that you might want to land, where you maybe only have to fight one other squads instead of 2, 3, 4 or 5 other squads, then this might be a good place to go. So I would say these are the main areas in Olympus that you probably want to focus on to start with, and then maybe you can look at the other areas. However, I did say I was going to cover every point of interest, and there are a few others that perhaps won't be quite as interesting as the previous ones I've talked about, but you probably still need to know about. So, there are 3 areas towards the outside of Olympus. Again, I don't think these will be as busy, but they do have some okay places to loot, and again, if you want a really safe place to land, maybe one of these less busy, less interesting places could be the place for you. So we've got Orbital Cannon, which is just to the right of Bonsai Plaza, and it's quite an open area with some good places to loot, but there's not that much there if I'm being completely honest. We've then got Docks and Carrier, which are at the top left of the map. Again, these places are quite open, they've got some good areas to loot, but I haven't found them the best places to loot. You don't really want to be landing there and getting in too many fights early on. Slightly more inside of the map, we then have Solar Array, Grow Towers and Gardens. Solar Array is another open space that, again, I don't think I would want to be landing there. It's the kind of place that you would rotate through, but not necessarily hang around there unless the ring is closing on that location. Grow Towers is quite a cool place. It's the bottom side of the map and has these really cool towers. These towers rotate slowly. It is a good place to go. There's some loot there, potentially not high tier loot. The towers are also open, so again, not the best place to camp. If someone's got a sniper and they get up on the ridges, it's quite easy to shoot you through there. Again, that's why I haven't put it as one of the top places to go in Olympus, but definitely one to check out for you. Gardens is another place in Olympus which is just really nice to see. It's got some great visuals there, the scenery is amazing. The terrain is a bit strange though, which is why I haven't put it in one of the best places to go. The buildings have varying levels, and if a team lands above you on one of the top buildings and you land in the bottom buildings, you could be in trouble there. You don't really want to be pushed from above with the kind of loot that you get in these small buildings and gardens. Finally, moving towards the centre of the map, we have Power Grid. Don't really like Power Grid. It's open, the loot is spread out. It's not going to be a great pace if you land with other squads. They'll get loot before you and you'll be in trouble. Energy Depot is another one of these kind of areas. It's not really the place that I would land. I would try and avoid it if I could, but sometimes you might have to rotate through there. Sometimes you'll get a ring finishing on there. So it's good to check out all of these other places. And that's it. These are all of the points of interest marked on the map of Olympus. There's a lot of open space in Olympus, so do watch out for that. I feel like movement-based legends and legends with vertical abilities will be really useful for this map. Before I finish, let me give you one other little tip of a useful place I found on Olympus. It's called Research Basin. It's the place between Turbine and Hammond Labs. It's really high up on the high point. You have to either go up the ramp or land there from a jump tower. It's not marked on the map as a place of interest, but they've got really high tier loot here, so it's going to be a great place for rotating through. I wouldn't suggest landing there in trios, just because It's only got one building and not that much loot, but if you can rotate through here, you can pick up some decent loot. And that's it. That's my full tour of Olympus. I hope you found it useful. I hope you've seen a few different sites here that you haven't had a chance to look at yet. And good luck playing Olympus. I look forward to seeing you guys around. Thanks for watching.
Did you know
I stream every Saturday at around 7 PM UK time. Most of these I'll actually be playing with anyone that wants to play with me, so you can actually join in with me and we can play some Apex Legends together. So come join me for my next stream on Saturday. I look forward to seeing you there.